Okay, so I thought that Heidi and I could give a little introduction. So I'm Cassandra. I'm in central Alberta and decided to start Duck Talks because I had a lot of people messaging about homesteading related topics. And so I thought it would be a good way to make a community for us. So even though some of the topics are pretty basic that we talk about, we always invite people to just come on Wednesday evenings. Even if it's something you already know, come share your knowledge with the other people and just come make friends, basically. People homesteading usually are kind of isolated because we need to be home to take care of our stuff. So it's a lot harder to be out and about and going around. So that's why Duck Talks started. And Heidi was gracious enough to agree to do Duck Talks with me. But that's basically it. I'm just a homesteading, homeschooling wife, mother of 4.
Hi, I'm Heidi, and like Sandra said, she came up with the idea. I just jumped on board with her and thought it was a pretty cool idea. And I think it's a good way to make friends, especially with what's going on and the way the world is right now, and way dealing with COVID and all that kind of stuff. It's a way for everybody to reach out, right? And it is like we're trying to do something like we're homesteading as well, kind of. We started with ducks a few years ago and it just kind of expanded from there, and we're just going to continue to expand. And I'm a wife, a mother of 3, and I guess a duck mom of 110, and a goose mom of probably like 20. And it's expanding all the time. So we enjoy it.
And so then Courtney was gracious enough to do this presentation or talking, if the presentation part doesn't work, about maple syrup. So we're very thankful to Courtney for agreeing to come on and teach us how to do this. I'm just going to pin you to the screen, Courtney. So there you go. Now you're good.
All right, so start over. We're not outside because my internet won't work. I'm Courtney. I grew up in northern Vermont. Now I live in like central southern New Hampshire. And we moved to our place to homestead. There was a lot of like existing food already on the property, which had me sold. So when we moved here, there was this maple syrup pan in the woods broken up. And I was like, oh, I want to make maple syrup. So I got a lot of old stuff from my dad and went from there. Last year, like in the winter, I decided I'm going to make maple syrup this year. And I went for it. So I tapped 20 trees last year. I made maybe a little more than a gallon with that. It takes a ton of sap to make a gallon of syrup. That's kind of why it's so expensive. So I started off by taking my taps and I boil them down in just water. These are really, really old. This is a super old one. I actually don't even use it anymore.
Oh, Courtney,
can I keep it because it's kind of cool.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second? I'm just going to mute all of our mics because we're getting feedback. And then that way, hopefully, we can hear you a little better. Heidi, can you help me?
You can click on the thing. Right there.
Oh.
Okay, so these are the taps I use. They're super, super old. I don't think you can buy them anymore. You can get aluminum ones that have like a hook that goes onto them so that you can use buckets. Or some people prefer the plastic ones that they make that have just the tap that goes into a tree and then a tube. And they run like into a 5-gallon bucket, or you can even run them into like a soda jug or an old milk jug. I don't do it that way because I don't like the plastic. I asked my dad and my cousin, my cousin works for a big company. I said, what would you prefer, the plastic or the metal? And they both said the metal because the sunlight doesn't get to it, and so germs don't grow on it as quickly. The plastic ones, I guess, have to be cleaned out a lot more often. So I boil the taps down, and then I take my drill and I drill a hole into the tree, like maybe an inch, if that, just long enough for the tap to go into it. My drill bit is a little bit smaller than the tap so that it holds in the tree. And then I put my bucket on and wait for the sap, which sometimes it runs and sometimes it doesn't. You need the weather to be below freezing at night and above freezing during the day. Mother Nature really isn't working with me this year on that. My buckets are maybe a quarter of the way full, and they've been tapped for about a week now. So you can tap any kind of maple tree, even your Manitoba maples. From what I read, the Manitoba maples don't put out as much sap as a sugar maple, and the amount of syrup that you actually get really depends on the sugar content in your sap. So once we have enough sap to boil, I have a pan that's like an older style pan. I built a pit that it would sit on, and there's almost like a chimney type thing in the back. And then in the front, you could feed it wood. When it's running, I make sure that the fire is spread out throughout the whole pan, because you don't want it to cook on one side and not the other. You want it to kind of evenly cook through the whole thing. When I boil it, I boil probably 6 to 8 hours a day. And then at night, I cover my pan with a piece of tin to protect it from whatever. I boil for 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
And then once it gets to, it kind of starts to turn brown, I take it from the pan and put it into actually an old water bath canner, and it goes on one of those turkey fryers that runs off of propane. So that's how you finish it off. I've heard some people bring it in their house. I do not suggest boiling sap in your house. It will peel your paint or peel your wallpaper. So once it's in the canner, I still have to boil it probably another 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours. You want it to kind of slowly boil down, and once it reaches, with a candy thermometer, you test it. Once it reaches between 214 and 219 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, sorry.
No, that's good. All of our stuff runs in.
Once it reaches that temperature, it actually boils white bubbles on the top of it, and that's how you know it's done. Once it gets to that point, I let it cool for depending on how cold it is outside, because I do it all outside. I let it cool off for maybe 20 minutes, but you don't want it to get too cool. I put it into mason jars, and then I boil the tops like you would if you were canning. put them on the top, and then you flip the jar over, and the heat from the maple syrup will seal the top without it ever going into a canner. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I might need you to ask me some questions.
Okay. So you answered most of my questions. So then for when you store, like how long would it store in those mason jars once it's syrup?
Okay, so I can't really give you a definite answer on that.
It is going to vary.
But I don't think it goes bad. I know that if, say you have maple syrup and it starts to have like mold on the top of it, you can actually scoop the mold off, reboil the syrup, and it's still good.
Okay. And then would you advise people store it like in a cool or dark place, like a cold room, like other canned?
Yes, mine goes right in with all the rest of my canning in a cupboard.
Okay.
Are you still muted?
So you basically answered that any maple. You basically did answer that any maple tree can be tapped.
Yes.
Is there like a circumference or something that we have to look for, or can we just, does it matter the size of the tree?
So here we do trees that are 6 inches in circumference or bigger. The bigger ones you can put multiple taps into. So like I have some like super huge maples that I can put 3 to 4 buckets onto. The thing that you want to really go for is the south side of the tree, because you need that sunlight. The south side gets most of the sunlight for the sap to run.
Okay. So your bigger trees you can tap more than once, but your smaller ones don't tap more than once?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know what, actually? You had asked me about whether or not it damages the tree. So let's go over that. So when you put the tap in, it over about 2 weeks, that tree will start to actually heal itself. So it'll start to turn black around the tap, and eventually it stops running because it heals itself. So I actually, last year, I ran my sap buckets for almost a month, and after like 2.5 weeks, I actually had to re-drill all the holes, but it was still running, and the buds on the tree hadn't started to grow yet. Once the buds start to grow, then the sap is no longer good. So I wanted to get like as much of the season as I could. So I took the time to re-tap all the trees.
Okay, so
once it like heals itself, there's still a hole there, but it doesn't like damage the tree. It's still gonna give you sap. The bigger the better.
Okay. So the tree will just heal itself, so you don't have to put anything in that hole? Like just once you take your tap out because you're done, just leave it, basically?
Yes. I pull the taps out with a hammer, like the claw end of a hammer. I have to pull them out with.
Okay.
Going back to what she said about how long the maple syrup will last if you don't open it, we have some here that have been not open for 10 years.
Perfect, thank you.
So,
So when do you quit? Like you said something about when they start budding. Like is that
Right. So once the weather gets to where it's freezing at night and above freezing during the day is when I start the jars. you have to watch, like, I watched the tops of the trees for like a little bit of red. That means that the buds are starting to develop, and that's when your sap is going to start to actually turn sour, and you're not going to want it anymore. If you can't see the buds on the tree, your sap actually will start to have a cloudy look to it. That cloudy look is not always good. And you can stick your finger in it and taste the sap, and you'll be able to tell like if it's sweet or sour.
Okay. So then you can pretty much, it doesn't matter how long you go that. Like if we, like right now we have really nice weather, it's above 0 during the day but freezing at night. If this continued to be like that for us for say a month and we didn't have buds on the trees, we could tap for that full month, or is there a duration you should do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can, basically it depends on Mother Nature.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to take notes.
Notes are good.
So which of those bags are you using?
They're food grade bags that I ordered online, and they're actually made to put inside 5-gallon buckets, so they're like really big, but they hold the sap in the buckets that have holes or whatever in them.
Oh, okay.
And then, so just again, you said you prefer to use the metal buckets because it helps block the sunlight, right? So
right.
for bacteria and stuff?
So to storing sap, so when I store it, I don't store it for very long. I have one of those aluminum garbage cans with the lid that goes on it, and I pack snow around the bottom of it. I keep it in the shade. You don't want your sap to get too warm while you're storing it, and I wouldn't store it for very long.
Okay, so
when it's frozen, there's not really anything you can do about it. Like right now, all my buckets out there are frozen. So I couldn't even take it out if I wanted to. But once it unfreezes and there's enough, then most of it will go right into the boiling pan. But if I need to store any, then it goes into that aluminum garbage can. Some people use you could probably even use like a tote. More than anything, you want it to stay kind of cool, and sunlight, if you can block it off, that's really the best thing you can do for it.
okay. Perfect. And could I just get you to show the taps one more time, just because you are kind of freezing? And I didn't want to interrupt you, but it was kind of hard to see your taps that you use.
Okay, so this is a super, super old metal one. There's aluminum ones or the plastic ones. I prefer the metal ones, just to keep the sunlight out.
Perfect, thank you.
So why did you decide that you wanted to start doing this?
I grew up doing it with my dad and my grandfather, and when I was a little kid, I didn't really have to do all the work. It is quite a bit of work because I pull trees out of the woods to burn. That part is like the hardest part, but I have my own maple syrup, and I kind of am carrying on the tradition, which a lot of my family isn't. There's me and my cousin both do maple syrup. He just works for a big company, and I just do it for my own family.
That's crazy.
Did I freeze again?
on and off.
Nope. Okay.
Hey, Courtney, what do you think about the single, like, small time newcomer setups that they have now with the 5 gallon plastic buckets and the blue, things that sort of connect? It seems like an inexpensive way to just do a couple of trees.
Yes. So I kind of covered that in the very beginning.
Sorry, I was late. I was trying to figure out the whole Google Meet thing.
It took us a minute because my internet wasn't working.
Yeah, I'm like in and out. Like I've been that way the last
That's
week.
why I'm inside. I think it's just the weather.
Yeah.
So the plastic, what I said was because sunlight gets to it, germs can build up a lot faster than the metal ones, but the metal ones are like almost non-existent now. It is cheaper to buy the plastic ones. You just have to clean them out a lot more. And to clean them, you just boil them, and I have like a little brush that fits inside the taps.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could get one that would go inside the lines.
It might be easy just to start, like, so we can all figure it out. And then as soon as you start to get good at it, when you start to see those expensive pieces that you're talking about at like yard sales and stuff, we snatch them up, right?
Yeah, no, you can absolutely do it anyway. Like, somebody said to me that with the plastic lines that go into a bucket, that you actually, because I use buckets, so I get like bugs and sometimes bark or whatever.
Yeah.
Will get into my bucket, so I have to actually filter it out before I boil it down. With the plastic buckets, with the cover, you're not going to get that stuff in your sap, so you won't have to do that particular part of the process.
That's time saving.
It is.
I think I might start with that just to try.
It's fun, and if you have questions, you're welcome to message me, and I can help as much as possible. I might have.
You know I'm gonna make you come over, right?
Have my dad help. What?
You know I'm gonna make you come over, right? We are neighbors, right? You have to come over. You can just tell me I'm not doing it right. It's okay.
Courtney, could you paint your jugs on the outside
I think you could.
to help block some of that light from getting in?
That would make it so that the sunlight's not getting in. It would make it last longer for storage purposes.
Or cover it even with a blanket or something.
Yeah. You can do anything you want. It's like trial and error through the whole thing.
I'm glad to know that the sunlight thing is an issue though, because I wasn't really thinking about that.
That's just like my dad told me that. He's an old timer.
They know the most.
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
Cassandra, did I miss any of the questions that we had down? Because I don't have my book in here.
Nope, I don't think so. I'll double check. But I'm pretty sure you hit them all.
Okay.
Yeah, because you said about drilling the hole about around an inch, right?
Right. I'm not sure how long the plastic ones are. So if you use those, you might have to do a little bit more. Like you just want enough for the part that goes into the tree to fit in there like securely so it doesn't fall out.
Okay, so you can just kind of measure whatever tap you're using and then base off that?
Yeah. And just use a regular drill bit to drill the hole the right size?
Yep. That's all I use. I have like a little Ryobi drill.
That's what we have.
The bit is just a little bit smaller than what my taps are, so that the tap, like when I hammer it in, it stays in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so in the other one, how to know when to tap, you said below freezing at night, above freezing during the day, right?
Right. When it's above freezing, that's what pulls the sap up out of the tree and lets it run in your bucket or your whatever you're using. I've seen people use all kinds of different things for it.
Yeah, it seems dirty, but I think once you get it all sifted and cleaned out and everything, and then boiled, it's not.
Well, you're boiling to 200 degrees, so
Yeah.
you're boiling out anything that like might not be good in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you hit all of my questions. If anybody else, I know we were all kind of asking you questions, but if anybody else has any left, or maybe if your lovely parents have any input to put in.
Debbie, where's Dad?
He's right here. Hang on, I'll turn it
Does he
around.
have any extra thoughts that I didn't think of?
Do you have any other thoughts that she might have on that? About tapping or boiling or anything?
What's the secret?
What's the secret they want to know?
It's just fun. Patience, I guess.
Definitely.
But when she said something about the tap, you take the tap in your hand, and there's a part that goes in the tree. Put it right up beside of your drill bit, and you just take a file and put a little mark on it. You want your hole a little longer because you've got to have an empty place behind your tap.
Okay.
But not very big, or you can hurt the tree. Okay? So if it's 3/4 of an inch long, you want, like Courtney said, about an inch. I can't remember what one is, but different taps too. Depends on what taps you buy. They're all different.
Is it okay for me to buy old taps at yard sales?
Better.
Okay, I'll just boil, make
The
sure
ones
they're
that
clean.
they make now are useless. They break. Plastic ones are good for nothing.
Okay.
They taste plastic. Okay? Steel, you get a little bit of rust. At the temperature you boil that sap to make syrup, any bacteria you get in it is gone.
Yeah.
Totally. That is hotter than the hottest water you can make. Because it's sugar content. And you gotta be careful, it will burn the heck out of you.
I see all the smoke when you go past the places that are doing maple syruping. Yeah, they are smoky or steamy.
Yes, and like one thing about if you're going to do it out and start with a small outfit like we did, and because of the wind on the day that you want to boil down, sometimes you have to just take a piece of plywood, piece of tin roofing. We had a bunch of old tin roofing, stood it up around it. So the smoke, we could get headed in one direction and not have the wind blowing our fire the wrong way. And she told you about the piece of bacon?
No.
Or fat back? Keep
No.
it boiling over?
No.
Kind of important. Whether you're in the house doing it or outdoors. You've got to have a piece of, can be regular bacon.
Or salt.
Okay? Or salt pork. What happens, and that rises right to the top of a container. You can have 2 inches of sap in the bottom in a foot-high container. And that stuff, when it gets there, will come right to the top.
Like candy making.
Yes.
Yes. Same thing.
Okay.
You pop that right on top for just a second, and it'll go right back down. You just keep your eye on it.
Piece of bacon. You don't put it in.
No, you just touch the top of that, and it'll go. Gone.
Okay.
Instantly.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I'll keep a piece of bacon handy.
And with these new pieces of equipment and oil fired, gas fired, I'm sure they're regulating their heat, okay? So they maybe don't even run into this problem. But I know a boy right in Stowe started out, and this was 20 years ago, his first big sugar place, $3,000 system.
It all boiled over and
To
burned.
the bottom of it, because he didn't know about using the piece of bacon.
Mm.
It lifts it up, creates an air vacuum in the bottom, and burns a hole right through the steel. Okay? You can't see it, of course, but it happens.
Mm.
If you're leaking, you're done for. You burn it all up.
Mm.
Melted it so bad he brought it to Willie to be repaired, and Willie just laughed at him. He had to go buy another whole pan set. It's fun though. Really fun. Just a piece of regular bacon works. Straighten out a coat hanger. That's what we do. You don't hold bacon.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's a good point. Your arm would burn if you put it over that pot.
Definitely. Severe.
Sure.
Yeah, like holding it on a blowtorch.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
So you gotta create like a fishing pole with for your bacon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But one's trying to get it down to that special place where it's thick enough so when you take a ladle or a spoon, whatever, you can dip a little and it hangs. When
Okay.
you see it dripping and it's hanging there, then you've got syrup.
All right. Like I imagine you've made a mistake and made candy.
Yeah, not very often though, because I was too young when my dad started me. And he was 11 years old when his father started him working in the sugar bush. And sugaring off, which is the guy that keeps an eye on the pans and sugars it down.
Mm.
So no, I started, I don't know, 12 years old with a little pan up on the ledges up behind his house and stove, plastic around us. Couple of the boys and our little sticks of wood we found and boiled down, and I don't know if we made a point, but we had a lot of fun.
How long did it take you to boil that down?
Long time.
You must have been drinking.
Yeah, very patient. Yeah, but you're interested in trying to do something.
Yeah.
It's an
It's cool
account.
that it takes a long time though, so you've got a long time to hang out with your friends.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your heat, okay?
Yeah.
The amount of sugar in your sap. Different trees, different amount of sugar. So let's say you get 50 gallons of sap. You got maybe 1 gallon of syrup.
Ah,
Cool?
that's a lot, but it doesn't matter. I have so many trees on my land. I like have to do it.
Yeah.
I make ice cream and candy, and I do all these things that would be so wonderful for all that syrup. So I'm excited about figuring it all out.
Excellent. And the more moisture the tree gets, okay, depending whether it's near a little brook or maybe in a low place, you have to have a higher sugar content. Now, I never read this in a book. My dad told me, but his dad told him. So if you're down like we tapped down across the road down by the brook, God, it seemed like our syrup was running high. We never tested, how many gallons or we just made it. But out of our 50 buckets, 50, no more than 50, I don't think we had. Ty and I, we made 5-6 gallons a year with the outfit Courtney's got.
I'd like that. That'd be nice. It still seems like a lot of work to get all that.
Not really, because you're out there having fun.
Yeah.
How much do you spend to go skiing?
Yeah, we spend a lot. And I have boys, I have teenage boys.
Oh God, they'll love it. Let them gather the sap. Don't do the sap line business. It just freezes up on you. Bucket.
Yeah, they can gather it, and they have 4-wheelers, and they, like to fix stuff. So, they're good for the labor.
Yeah, and your big container to store it in can brand new plastic trash can. Okay, you make a use out of it for the following year or save it.
You don't line it or anything?
No, just cover on it.
Okay.
But you got to remember, no matter if there's some dust in there, once you boil that stuff down, your bacteria.
You know what, I don't want it to be. I don't want anything to leach into it because of how kind of organic we are. So I would think like the bigger container I ended up putting it all in, I would be careful as to what I chose.
Okay. Then the best thing is a galvanized steel one. Okay?
Okay.
That's what they call it. Or just plain steel I used to use.
Yeah.
Your content, the rust that you have on an old bucket, there's rust in the tree. Minerals.
Yeah.
Read up on your trees and you'll see there's all sorts of minerals right in the tree that comes up with the water.
Yeah, I'd rather go with metal than probably plastic.
Cool.
You
We
can.
did plastic, set it in the snowbank, kept it shaded. We didn't turn our sap. You take a sip of your sap, make sure it hasn't turned. If it has, and it tastes sour or something or off, dump it. Start
Okay.
over.
And I'll know.
Yeah, you can taste
you'll
it.
know. You'll
Okay.
know.
Okay.
You'll know.
Does it ever get attacked by ants?
Drink some good sap first.
Okay.
Okay,
So ants are what? Like, does anything ever try to eat it?
I haven't yet.
No.
It's too cold still for like the ants to come out, so
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with that.
What about like bears or other animals?
No.
They're not into it?
No, once you get your finished product, don't leave it out there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, before the finished product, no.
Okay.
I just wanted to add, you can get some really big plastic food grade buckets for like storing animal feed, but they're food grade, so they won't leach anything.
Those are the kind I would buy, yeah. I would be careful. And like I was saying, do you line it with something? Because I don't know, I guess whatever it was sitting in would be of concern to me.
Well, the trouble is, there's no liner that's not contaminaminated.
Right, the plastic liner or whatever. I just don't.
You got the right idea with the buckets.
Yeah.
Food buckets.
And I think if you move your stuff like quickly and don't let it sit there, you're okay.
Yeah. Now, when you get all done, your taps, you've got to put them into something, container, boil the heck out of them, store them dry. Lay them out so they dry before you store them so they don't get rusty. Same thing with your buckets. Tip them over and make a pyramid. Let them dry good. Then put them back together. Okay? Even the plastic ones.
Yeah.
The water is what's going to hold the bacteria. Dry bucket, nothing's going to adhere to it. Cool?
Perfect.
Yeah, I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I'm going to try for sure. And I want to do bees this year too.
Ooh.
No, let Courtney know.
The previous homeowners left all kinds of stuff here. Like lots of stuff. Yeah. So, and bee stuff. Like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of bee stuff.
Oh my God. My son would be crazy.
All of it.
Would
All
be.
of it. Like so much stuff. And other stuff too. Like, I don't know, I probably have like 6 pitchforks. Like so many items that maybe I don't need 6 of. But it's cool. Like this old farm is pretty cool, and I feel like some of the stuff that's been here is still here.
Okay, when you said pitchfork, you made me think of something. Okay, you're out of sap. You want to close down for the night. You can't leave that fire going. Take your pitchfork, rake it out. Get that fire turned off.
All right, that's a good
We'll
use for it.
boil at night where you're not there. If you don't, fire's got to be out. You know, fuel coals, fine, but it's got to be pretty much out.
And then
Yeah, and when you do maple syruping, I'm sure you have a big hot fire for days.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you gotta shut it off at night. You gotta
Yeah.
get the body up there, start it up again.
Okay.
Set a lamp up and work at night. Instead of watching TV.
Oh yeah, we don't have cable here.
Well, no, nowadays you got portable phone and everything. You can watch a movie and boil.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much. I have to get going, guys, but I feel like I learned so much. Thank you, Courtney, for inviting me.
Well, if you have questions, message me, and someday I will make it to your house. But right now, I do not have a car.
That's okay. I can even come get you. No worries. But we're friends. I really appreciate you inviting me.
thank you for
Have a
coming.
good one.
All right, I'll see ya.
Courtney, I just wanted to ask you one more thing. So,
Okay.
like in the picture of your fire pit that you built, what is the purpose of the chimney? Like, could I make one
Just-
that didn't have a chimney in the back, or do I need that?
Do you like smoke in your eyes?
No. So that's the purpose?
That's what
Okay,
the
it's just to
chimney's
draw
for.
it. Okay.
It kind of pushes it out so that it doesn't end up headed at me.
Okay. Makes total sense. Now that you pointed out to me.
Yeah, that's my dad actually helped me build the pit because he's the cool guy. So there's when it was set up at their house, they had the same exact thing, and it's just like maybe like a 6-inch by 6-inch hole. The smoke will go out the back. Sometimes it does still come at me, but for the most part, the smoke travels the other way.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. And then you said to try to make it like even heat, right? Across the
Yes,
whole.
you want even heat through the whole pan because you don't want to like cook one side and not the other. That's not always that good.
Okay.
When you put your pan on the fire, like the way mine's made, if I were to leave just the pan on the fire without putting liquid into it, it will burn a hole right through it. Like, I actually put the pan out, put the sap in it, and then start my fire.
Okay. Perfect. And then I just had one more question. Since I'm going to edit this video and then send it to you, do you want to send me some pictures and I can add the still pictures in? Maybe like your
Yeah.
your fire and
You could even do a short video.
your setup, or if you just do like a short video of each thing and send me those videos, I can edit them into this video and then I can get it all put together and sent back to you.
Okay, cool.
Whichever
I can
way
do
you
that.
want to
It
do.
might be a little while, but
Yeah,
but
no,
probably
that's
tonight I'll try to. I don't know. I have some videos on my GoPro. I just have to figure out how to put them onto the computer and then send them to you.
yeah, no problem. However long it takes, and then I'll just compile it all together so we can have some video or still pictures about what you're talking about, and then I'll get it all back to you, and then yeah.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Well, thank you everybody for coming on. It was great. I'm so happy that you agreed to do this, and for your father coming on as well.
That was really awesome. Thank you, Courtney. I took lots and lots of notes.
Yeah.
Well, as always, if you have questions, message me.
For sure.
Oh,
I can't wait to try it.
and your YouTube is Harvey space homestead, home space stead, right? There's that
Right.
space between homestead if anybody's looking
Yes,
to get
and
onto
home
Courtney.
has a capital H, and the stead has a small s.
Perfect. I'll type that out and I'll put it up on the screen, and then this video will be going up first on Courtney's YouTube channel. So I'll link that, and then it'll be going up on the Duck Talks YouTube after. I think that's everything.
We're gonna tap some of these trees here, make some maple syrup. First step, you're gonna want to pick your trees. You want your trees to be 6 inches or more. The bigger ones are better. You can put more taps in them. So this here is a young maple tree. They kind of look different as they get older. You get kind of bumps in the trees. The bark looks different. Then when they get real old, they're gonna look like those big ones over there. I'm gonna try and tap most of them on this side of the rock wall, but those big ones gave me lots of sap last year, so I'm gonna have to carry it over the rock walls. We do it the old-fashioned way. Buckets and taps. No lines. So we have our drill, and we have our taps, and we have our hammer. Now when you drill in, you're gonna wanna drill on the south side of the tree. That's the side that's gonna get the most sun, and you're gonna go upward so that it will drip out. Okay, so these are the huge maples on the other side of the rock wall. We've got 4, actually 5 of them. So I have existing holes from last year, so we're gonna go to one side or the other of them, but we're still going on the south side of the tree. That's where the sun hits the most. This one, I'm gonna do 3 or 4 taps in. The smaller ones, we don't do that many.